Boss Rush 940 Day 4. So we got Balinda Stonehearth as the first boss, which is the first time we've had her as a first boss before. And then everything afterwards is artillery strikeable. So this is a reasonably farmable day. Balinda does go immune whenever she reaches 0 hit points, so you do have a little bit of cleanup there if you do a Deathwing Rattlegore strategy, but that does work fine on this day. There's also the option to do a freeze strategy. I was able to beat it just fine with Balinda Varden and 1 Samdi and 3 artillery strikes. There's no advantage to bringing more than 2 artillery strikes though if you kill everyone off. So these are just here because we don't really have anything else useful to put in play on turn 1, so you do have some flexibility here if you wanted to cut one of these artillery strikes and bring an additional mercenary there. Also, Anfindel did a strategy that's more budget friendly than this, so this one needs a pretty strong Varden and Balinda to do enough damage to kill those enemies in time, and also to ensure that you survive the shots on turn 1. Usually they'll shoot your 1 Samdi and you freeze one of them, so there's only 1 incoming shot on turn 1 typically. So this usually does work out, but Anfindel's strategy also has a similar issue where you are reliant on the enemies shooting at the correct targets, I believe. But I'll link that down in the description if you want to check that out. It basically utilizes Varden freezes as well as actually Kel'Thuzad freezes and Jaina freezes to ensure that you keep those 2 adds locked down, and then you let Balinda cast a few spells, and you're just repeatedly freezing with Varden on the summons that are created outside of that, and all of those are Frost mercenaries, so they scale with Varden's Band of Frost, so you can beat it with some pretty weak mercenaries with that team. To go over the comp here though, we have Arfis with Downward Dog, Jaina with Ice Block, Rattlegore with Rattling Bones, Deathwing with whatever, I've got Resolve of Undying, Gilnean Strength on Gin, and Chip Spell on Rogers. And Gin and Rogers will sometimes have to do some cleanup because of the Ice Block on Balinda. So if you need more damage but you don't need the Artillery Strike, because all the enemies on today are red, so Rogers is the natural choice for Artillery Strike. But if you have enough damage to kill them all with your Artillery Strike, you can swap out Rogers for whoever just does the most damage to Balinda in this slot. In case you have to do cleanup after an Ice Block. So in my case that would be Voon, but I've just got Rogers here because of the Artillery Strike follow-up afterwards. And that would be Voon with the Dragon Rune Axe, probably does the most damage for me. And then for the Balinda Varden team, I've just got Balinda with Water Elemental, Varden with Band of Frost, 1 Samdi with Arena Contender, and then 3 Artillery Strikes. I've got Ship Spell on Rogers, Gilnean Strength on Gin, and Dragon Rune Axe on Voon. So let me jump into it here with Deathwing. So this is basically just a standard Arfis Jaina opener with the Deathwing comp. You might need to do a little bit of math if you want this to work out as well as possible because of the different health anomaly values on Balinda. You can figure out which combination of attacks gives you the best health value on Balinda that's evenly divisible by your Destroy All Life, so that when that Destroy All Life goes off, it's gonna leave Balinda at the lowest health value possible. So in my case, my Destroy All Life does 226 damage, so you multiply that by 2 since it's critting, and then see if that evenly divides into Balinda's health. And if it does, or it's like the remainder is small, then that's great. You don't need to do anything else. You don't need to damage her at all. If there is a large remainder, though, you might need to do a little bit of extra damage with your Rattlegore or your Jaina or targeting Arfis onto Balinda on turn 1. In my case, I believe it's good for me to shoot like 1 Bone Flame. Actually, I'm going to damage my Jaina because I want to try to make sure that Ice Block pops here. That's one of the issues with this strategy, is sometimes the Ice Block doesn't go off on turn 1. So I'm just going to shoot Jaina. In the next turn, I'm probably just going to shoot 1 Bone Flame at Balinda here, and then that should get her into a reasonable range to be cleaned up. Because I think my 226 does not very evenly divide it. It ends up having like a large remainder of around like 400 hit points on Balinda. So it's good to do a little bit of damage to Balinda. So I'm going to do my Destroy All Life. This will go off first, but it doesn't matter. You can block this attack here with a Water Elemental, or you can kill it with like a Bone Flame, but I'm going to do the Bone Flame on Balinda here so that sets Balinda's health up better. Okay, so then our combo will get started here. And you just need that water elemental to protect your Deathwing from dying while he's at 1 HP. I'm just going to restart the client here to skip these animations. And we should have a Balinda that has like 200-ish health, maybe a bit more. And you will reconnect to your game in progress, since she survives with the ice block every time. Okay, so here my Gin should be able to just take her out. But we do have the ship spell on, so you can do damage with your Master Tactician if you want. I wouldn't swing into her, though, if you're using Rogers. Vunu's a good choice there, too, because the Dragon Rune Axe with that Worm Summon probably does more damage than any of the other one-turn attacks that you have access to there. We hit an Artillery Strike, so that's a win, in my case anyway. You do have some high health values here. Chromaggus is 400 HP, and these other guys are pretty high as well. Actually, Omokk is not too high, but he does have this damage reduction. But the Chromaggus in particular is pretty high, but you do have the option to get rerolls on your treasures if you don't hit Artillery Strike, and maybe you can hit 2 by the time you get there. Or at least hit Rogers for these reds. I thought Thaurissan was higher than this. 200 is not too bad, especially with the opportunity to crit with Rogers. So you're still going to need to have like 200 Artillery Strike damage at least, so that the double Artillery Strike would kill Chromaggus. And I don't think it would be worth trying to fit in Medivh or anything to do the Chromaggus cleanup. You'd be better off just having the second Artillery Strike. And then needing to hit both if you don't have the damage. Chromaggus is one of the reasons to go ahead and max out that Artillery Strike at 400. Since he's not crittable. So, if you don't have 400, you're going to have to hit multiples. Alright, so pretty quick run with the Deathwing Radawar comp. And then this freeze comp is pretty good too. You basically spend the whole fight at 1 HP since you let Balinda cast Crestfallen Rebukes. And on turn 1, you don't really have anything to stop one of these. So you usually just freeze whichever one has more anomaly. So in this case, we have a very big fire anomaly and a relatively small frost anomaly. So I'm going to let the frost one cast, and we'll just freeze this fire elemental on turn 1. And we'll also try to focus down the fire elemental first. Since it's obviously more threatening, but once we're at 1 HP, it doesn't really matter anymore. So this will probably shoot at 1 Samdi. You just freeze the highest damage one out of the adds. Hopefully your 1 Samdi gets hit. And this is a mercenary. So when this bounces, this will not be in play and will not have the opportunity to cold snap off of it. But after we do a future bounce, it'll come back and we'll be able to cold snap it then. Or at least swing a water elemental into it and get some free ramp if we don't need a cold snap on that turn. So here we usually just freeze this guy. Also, if you get no blue attack anomaly, you can see these guys have 197 attack. In my case, my water elemental would survive those, so you would get a lot of extra ramp if you did manage to hit that low anomaly. But I don't think I'll need it here, so I'm just going to freeze this guy that's going to try to do damage. We don't have a cold snap opportunity here, so I'm just going to do a flurry, and we'll do another bounce. That'll get us a new water elemental, and it'll also bring out this bench thing here, so we're going to have the summon as well as Balinda and I think the fire elemental. So I believe on this turn, Balinda just summons a new elemental, so we're probably going to just get some free ramp on that low attack summon by swinging our water elemental into it and letting Balinda cast. It'd be nice if all the enemies came out, but they don't, so yeah, I'm just going to freeze here and get some free ramp, and then we'll get a flurry. And don't think I want to bounce here because I just want all the enemies out so I can cold snap this summon. So I'm just going to shoot here and do some extra damage there as well. And our flurry goes off before this summon so we don't accidentally kill the summon. Alright, that doesn't come out because it made a new mercenary, but that's fine too. So here, that's at 5 speed. So if I want a cold snap here, I can't get this free ramp since that would kill this and then I wouldn't have a cold snap target. So I'm going to go ahead and do the cold snap and hold this back. And then since these guys will both be frozen, I will do a bounce to refresh those freezes. And also get a new water elemental here. So then we'll have 2 water elementals to freeze both the adds if we need to. We do lose the hit points on this, but it doesn't matter because all this stuff has too much attack to survive a swing anyway. And at the end here, we do want all of our non-artillery strikes to die. So when we get down to just Balinda, we'll get her down really low HP and then let her AoE us. And ideally we want to pop her ice block before that too, so that we have an easy cleanup. Okay, so I want to cold snap off this next turn probably. So I'm going to weaken this guy instead. And these flurries are going to do some random damage, so I'm not sure how that'll work out for us, but I'm just going to get this frost add lower since the fire is already low, and we can probably cold snap it pretty easily. Okay, so everybody's going slow except the Crestfallen, and we don't care about that. So I'm going to need to do some extra damage here. I would like to save the water elementals, but we didn't get this super low. This would one-shot it. If I shoot this here, it's going to do like 860-ish. So this will have like 730 or 740 HP. The numbers don't work out super well here. Because I want to just cold snap and bounce. I could do like a flame dart here. I could also use some of these water elementals, but they're better. It's nice to save them. I don't need this many, so I could swing with some of them just to like weaken this up. Unfortunately, I don't think I'm going to be able to get the Frostburn here. Unless I spend both of the water elementals. I could do that. I think if I just go here and then cold snap, then I can do this. You could just freeze both of the adds there and hang on to your cold snap for a future turn if you didn't have the damage to make that play there. But now we have Ice Lance as well as Water Elementals and a Frozen Balinda, so we have plenty of time here. And these are already doing 1800 damage a turn, so... Alright, so Balinda still has her ice block here. So I would like to proc that ice block and have her be as low health as possible. So if I just do this binding contract here, that's about right. So I'll just do it this way. And we'll freeze first, and then we'll let Balinda AoES next turn. Because I want to actually pop the block and have her be low health. I don't really have a way to do both on that turn. So this will work out a bit better. So now if I do that binding contract, that should be enough to pop the block and be at low health. Okay, now just any small amount of damage here is enough to finish this. And we're healthy, so Balinda doesn't have any really threatening attacks. Okay, and then you just need to hit Artillery Strike. So a lot slower than the Deathwing comp, but it works fine. And we missed, so that's a failed run, but you just gotta hit your treasures after that. And then there is also the option of the Amphindel strategy that I'll link down below. If you don't have the stats to make this work, that one has more tools to keep them indefinitely frozen. If you make it past turn 1, you have 2 mercenaries that have a 3-turn cooldown freeze. Then you have the cold snaps on top of that. So, or you have the water elemental every other turn. You have a 2-turn cooldown, so every 3rd turn freeze from Kel'Thuzad, and then you have the cold snaps and the ice lance as well. So you can go check out that video from Amphindel if you need a more budget-friendly comp. But that'll do it for day 4, and good luck on your runs.